In this video, we want to look at something called a static method and, in turn, static properties. These are different than our instance methods and our instance properties because with instance methods and properties, you get your own copy for every instance of an object. However, with a static method or a static property, there's only one copy that is shared amongst all of the different objects that are created from that base class. In fact, a lot of times these methods can be accessed by the class without having to have an object created. So you see this a lot in utility types of classes. So for example, you might look at the integer class, and the integer has a min and max value that's associated with it. And what does that do? Well, that lets you know what the min and max value of an integer is. You don't have to have an integer object to know that. It's just a property that's set. And that way, if for some reason in the future it changes, they update it there and your information automatically gets updated. So let's take a look at how we're going to create a static property and static method. Let's start with the property. So up here where I have my instance properties, I'm going to create my static property. What I like to do is either above or below it, depending upon how I'm kind of feeling for that day. I'm going to separate, put a line separation, and then I'm going to put my static. That way I group all my instance properties together, and then I have all my static properties together. Typically, there's not a lot of static properties. In this case, I'm going to have one that's private. So I'm going to say private, static, then my data type. So notice static had to go before my data type. Counter, and I'm going to specify equal to 0. I have to give it an initial value. Now, with my instance properties, notice I never gave them an initial value. But with my static, I do. That's because it's not tied to an instance, so I can't put in my constructor, which is something we're going to look at in just a little bit. And I'm going to go to the bottom of all my instance methods, and this is where I'm going to create my static property. And say public static int get counter. Now, when I have a static method, there's a couple things I have to know about. First off is, because I may not be attached to an object, I can't say this dot and use any of my instance variables. Everything has to be a local variable or a static variable. The second thing is, if I use a static variable, I have to specify my class name. So I might say something like return planet.counter. And that way I get a chance to see what my counter is. This is a public, it's static, I can call it from any time. Do I call it from an instance? Well, I can. Can I call it from just the class? I can. But it allows me a lot of flexibility and access of it. So that's how I create a static property and a static method, my limitations and my uses of them. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like just so I know, and consider subscribing so you can see more videos on how to program.